Dachshunds are one of the most misunderstood breeds on the planet. People assume they're just a smaller, cuter version of a normal dog, easy to manage, low maintenance, apartment-friendly. And sure, some of that is technically true. But what nobody tells you is that Dachshunds come with a very specific set of expectations, unspoken ones. And if you don't meet them, you will hear about it, loudly, dramatically, and probably at 2 in the morning. This video is going to walk you through the real rules of living with a Dachshund. Not the stuff you read in a generic breed guide. The actual social contract your dog expects you to honour from day one. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what your Dachshund needs from you to be happy, well-behaved, and genuinely bonded to you for life. These aren't training tips. They're relationship principles, and once you understand them, everything about your Dachshund's behaviour will start making a lot more sense. Rule 1. You do not rush a Dachshund. Let's start here because this one catches almost every new Dachshund owner off guard. These dogs do not operate on your schedule. They operate on theirs. When a Dachshund decides to sniff a particular patch of grass, that patch of grass is getting sniffed until the Dachshund is satisfied. When they decide the morning walk is not yet over, it is not yet over. And when they plant themselves on the couch and go boneless, that specific kind of dramatic, full-body refusal to move, no amount of coaxing, treats, or firm commands is going to speed that process up by much. This stubbornness isn't a flaw, it's a feature. Our Dachshunds were bred in Germany for hundreds of years to hunt badgers independently, underground, in tunnels, without any human telling them what to do next. That independence is baked into their DNA. When your dog ignores your command, they're not being difficult. They're doing exactly what their ancestors were selected to do. Make decisions on their own. Your job is to work with that stubbornness, not against it. Keep training sessions short, 5 to 10 minutes max. Use high-value rewards because a mediocre treat is beneath them. And build in patience as a permanent feature of your relationship. The owners who try to dominate a Dachshund into submission through frustration and repetition are always the ones who say their Dachshund is untrainable. They're not untrainable, they just refuse to negotiate. Rule 2. Their back is sacred territory. This one is non-negotiable, and it might be the most important rule on this list. Dachshunds have one of the highest rates of intervertebral disc disease of any breed in the world, often shortened to IVDD. Their long spines and short rib cages create a structural vulnerability that makes back injuries a constant risk throughout their lives. Up to 25% of Dachshunds will experience some form of spinal problem in their lifetime. In severe cases, it can mean paralysis. What this means practically is that you have to treat their spine with a level of care that most dog owners aren't used to. You do not let a Dachshund jump off the couch repeatedly. You do not let them launch themselves off the bed 5 times a day. You use ramps and stairs, real ones, placed at every piece of furniture they regularly climb. You discourage rough play that involves twisting or aggressive wrestling, and you monitor their weight closely, because excess body weight puts direct pressure on an already vulnerable spine. Your Dachshund will not self-regulate this. They will jump off that couch with the confidence of a dog twice their size and 3 times their sturdiness. That's why this rule falls on you. You are the guardian of their back, even when they'd rather you weren't. Rule 3. You must take their emotions seriously. Dachshunds feel things deeply, and they need you to acknowledge that. This is a breed that experiences real separation anxiety. Not the mild, "I was a little sad when you left" kind, the destructive, vocal, genuinely distressed kind. A Dachshund left alone for long hours without preparation or routine can tear through furniture, bark for hours, and develop behavioural problems that take months to undo. They are companion animals at their core. The same drive that made them bold enough to chase a badger into a tunnel also makes them intensely attached to the person they've bonded with. If you work long hours, your Dachshund needs a plan. That might mean a dog walker, a doggy daycare, a second pet for company, or a deliberate gradual desensitization program to help them get comfortable with alone time. What it cannot mean is leaving them alone for 8 hours and hoping they'll figure it out. Beyond separation, Dachshunds are emotionally expressive in ways that can surprise people. They sulk when they feel ignored. They protest when the routine changes. Some will give you the silent treatment after a vet visit with a level of commitment that's almost impressive. Take their emotional cues seriously. A Dachshund who feels seen and responded to is a calm, confident, well-adjusted dog. A Dachshund who feels dismissed will find other ways to get your attention, and you won't like most of them. Rule 4. Leash time is non-negotiable, but so is their nose. Dachshunds need daily exercise, but their version of exercise looks different from what most people expect. Because of the back concerns already discussed, high-impact activities are off the table. No agility courses with big jumps, no frisbee, no roughhousing with large dogs who could accidentally twist or land on them. What Dachshunds need instead is consistent, on moderate daily walks, typically 2 shorter walks a day rather than 1 long run, with plenty of time built in for sniffing. The sniffing part is critical, and it's something most owners underestimate. For a scent hound, mental stimulation comes primarily through their nose. A 15-minute sniff walk, where you let your Dachshund lead and smell whatever they want, is genuinely more tiring and satisfying for them than a brisk 30-minute march where you set the pace. Their nose processes information in a way that engages their brain on a level that physical exercise alone doesn't match. If the weather is bad, or your schedule is tight, supplement with nosework games at home. Hide treats around the house, use snuffle mats, let them use their primary sense in a structured way. A Dachshund whose nose gets regular work is a calmer, more settled dog indoors. Rule 5. Hierarchy matters to them. Establish yours. Early. Dachshunds are not aggressive dogs by nature, but they are assertive ones. And if nobody in the household establishes calm, consistent leadership early, your Dachshund will fill that role themselves, happily, with full confidence, and usually with outcomes that are very inconvenient for everyone else. This looks like resource guarding, growling over food bowls or toys. It looks like snapping at strangers who approach their person. It looks like excessive barking at anything that moves past the window because they've appointed themselves the head of home security. None of this means your Dachshund is vicious. It means they're operating in a structure where they believe the job of leadership is theirs, and they're taking it seriously. The fix is consistency from day one. Set boundaries and stick to them. If they're not allowed on the furniture, that rule applies every single day, not 6 days out of 7. If you don't want them to bark at guests, that needs to be trained and redirected early, not tolerated and then corrected later. Dachshunds respect consistency more than they respect volume. You can raise your voice at them all you want, and they will stare at you with an expression that communicates their complete indifference. But if you are calm, clear, and consistent over time, they will fall in line, and they'll respect you genuinely for it. Rule 6. They do not tolerate disrespect from children. This rule is especially important for families. Dachshunds are not naturally patient with rough handling. They were not bred to tolerate being grabbed, prodded, chased, or treated like a stuffed animal. Because of their size, people sometimes assume they're gentle enough for very young children to handle freely, and that assumption leads to a lot of unnecessary incidents. A Dachshund who feels cornered, handled too roughly, or startled will snap. Not out of aggression, but out of self-preservation. And because of their small size, their face is usually at the exact height of a toddler's hands and face, which makes this a safety concern you cannot afford to ignore. This doesn't mean Dachshunds can't live with children. Many of them thrive in family environments and become fiercely loyal to the kids they grow up with. But it means that children in the home need to be taught how to interact with the dog respectfully. No grabbing, no chasing, no disturbing the dog when it's eating or sleeping. Every interaction between young children and your Dachshund should be supervised until the relationship and the trust is established. The responsibility here is on the adults in the room, not the dog. Rule 7. Warmth is a right, not a privilege. If you've ever noticed your Dachshund burrowing under blankets, pressing themselves against your leg, or seeking out the single warmest spot in the room with a laser precision, you're watching a dog exercise what they consider a fundamental need. Dachshunds run cold. Their low, elongated body loses heat faster than stockier breeds, and their instinct to burrow, developed through generations of tunnel hunting, means they find both physical and psychological comfort in being enclosed and warm. A Dachshund who is cold is a Dachshund who is uncomfortable, stressed, and probably annoying about it. Make sure they have access to blankets they can burrow in. Consider a dog sweater for colder months, especially if you live somewhere with real winters or run your air conditioning aggressively. Don't put them outside in the cold for extended periods without a layer of protection, and don't be surprised when they show up under your sheets at midnight. They're not being presumptuous, they're being a Dachshund. This is precisely what they were built to do. Rule 8. Loyalty is earned, but once you have it, it's absolute. Here's the thing about Dachshunds that people who've never owned one don't fully appreciate. Once you've earned their trust, really earned it, through consistency and patience and genuine care, the loyalty you get back is extraordinary. These are dogs who will follow you from room to room. Who will notice when your mood changes before you've said a word? Who will insert themselves into your difficult days with a persistence that is equal parts amusing and genuinely comforting? They choose their person with deliberate intention, and once they've made that choice, they defend it. But that loyalty has to be earned. It doesn't come automatically with ownership. It comes from following all the rules above, from respecting their independence while providing real structure, from protecting their back, from taking their emotions seriously, from being the kind of consistent, calm presence they can actually trust. Do that, and you won't just have a pet. You'll have a companion who is profoundly, unapologetically devoted to you. If you've made it this far, you already care more about getting this right than the average Dachshund owner, and that matters. These dogs don't ask for much, but what they do ask for, they ask for seriously. If this video helped you understand your Dachshund a little better, hit that like button and subscribe for more breed-specific content just like this. And drop a comment below. What's the most Dachshund thing your dog has ever done? Because if you're a Dachshund owner, you definitely have a story. We all do.